So, Namaskar and welcome to 75th National Handloom Week that we are done in NIP Patna. And we have started the program from this week. Although the National Handloom Day is from 7, but we have decided to actually celebrate it for a long, for a week. To brief about the National Handloom Week, I think that is one of the major landmark that has been taken by the government of India. Those the Gandhiji have started in 1905, where the Swadeshi Andolan was actually taking place, and the Khadi Andolan are actually taking place. In Modi ji, our Prime Minister, he has put that National Handloom Day should be celebrated across all the India. So we know the handloom, and as a TD department, we know what is the importance of the National Handloom Day. So National Handloom Day actually celebrated for the for those people who are actually working on this field, whether it's a farmer, whether it's a weaver, to bring everything in a common platform. This National Handloom Days are very much August occasions where everyone will be celebrating across the nation what is handloom and their different type of the products. Recently, I have come a very astounding fact that most of the cotton products they are the power loom, almost 64%. But once this National Handloom Day has been celebrated for the last 7 years, it is tremendous. Now 11% of the total products are basically the handloom products, but majority still now is a power loom product. But let me tell you, whatever it will be there, the handloom products is always good in terms of the quality, whether in terms of the ikkat, if you say ikkat, or if you say kalamkari, or if you say the any traditional sarees, kanjivaram, all are the handloom products. So starting from a wide range, Indian handloom products is actually celebrated across the whole world. But only the thing is that if you promote or if we promote it properly, this surprising figure, which is now a staggering 11%, that could be much more.
Since our discipline specialization is textile design, it is a discipline in which all the aspect of weaving, especially handloom weaving, is very dexterously taught in our curriculum, and we are stationed very strategically in India. That NIFT has uh, a dedicated program in textile design, and that program is like encompassing from the very basic of handloom weaving, and it goes up till the most complicated structures which a handloom can make. And that being said, it is the privilege of all the students who are part of this program that we also have the opportunity to one technically know how the weaving is done, which is how aspects of what are the aspects of handloom weaving, and we also get opportunity through our curriculum to interact with the best minds in our sector. Now, being said that, one of the reasons that we hold a very strategic and important place in the industry is because uh, the handloom weaving industry itself is one of the largest income provider in our country. So not only the contributions which are there
Correct.
from the metropolitans, but it is from the smallest of the villages that there is like this production cycle moves. So it is like, while we in the cities, we get to enjoy some of the most beautiful fabrics and weaves, we may not know that, in this process or in this cycle, some of the smallest people, some of the smallest economies, or like, your purchase, that actually contributes to the domestic or the household income of many. Now, being said that, only yesterday when I was interacting with one of my weavers, our weavers in Bhagalpur, I felt that, it is so important for our education, our program, and, the partnership we share with these artisans. This partnership is something which needs to be strengthened in every miles of our life. We must, like, not only part of the curriculum that we go and we interact with them, also in terms of that what is it that, design can make a difference in their lives, how is it that, design can contribute to the income of these people who are into the production of these handloom textiles, from the very core, from the starting, from the fiber to the spinning, to actually setting up the loom, to actually making the product, finishing it, shipping it to bigger places, to supplying it to designers, to putting up in their own exhibitions. There is a very big role to play. Now there are different kinds and quality of products one which can make on handloom. The simplest of the products which one can make on handloom, where there is no, the beauty of handloom is that there are so many products which one can make in which there is no stitching or no kind of, like, seaming or any kind of other human intervention is required. So it is like, the beauty of handloom is such that many of the products you can finish it directly on the loom, from the stoles to the scarves to the dupattas to the gamchas to the saris and to the yardage material. There are so many things one can make on the handloom. It is one of the earliest machine known to mankind. So it is like, there are so many things you can make by the permutation and combination of different techniques and weave, along with a combination of material. We in India are very, very strategically positioned in the aspect of handloom. The fact being that, every state has one or more than one traditional textile which they all sport and support. It is the role of a textile designer that how we can use all our creative abilities in bringing the best of, like, our knowledge and skills into these clusters or into these techniques, and make some of the best comfortable and contemporary products. So the thing being that, the machines are there, the raw materials are there, the skills are there. What the sector requires is, there is a lot of, like, awareness, there is a lot of, like, exchange, there is a lot of, like, input in terms of what is it that can be created new. We at NIFT, through our curriculum, we have been constantly working on knowing the requirements of the artisans of the industry, and we have been constantly working along with them in making them know the best of the techniques, the best of the trends, not only what is required in domestically, but also what is required in the international platform, along with, like, giving them required design input from time to time, so that the artisans can strengthen their skills to come up with market savvy products. So the thing being that, through our projects also, there's a lot of intervention which we have encouraged in the clusters, especially in Bihar, with the Bhagalpur and the Bawanbhuti cluster, which are 100% handloom clusters, where the lives of many weavers are dependent upon the income. Their daily incomes are actually dependent on handloom. Our role has been very crucial in terms of our interactions with our weavers and providing them with the right skills. NIFT also has, Patna Center has taken up a project which is in the contemporization of the weaves of the Bhagalpur, and working on the quality of the product which Bhagalpur cluster makes under the scheme of Ustad project, where we have been working for the past 3 years in developing the skills of the weavers and providing them with material choices, not only from their local cluster but also sourcing from other clusters. We have provided them yarns and material which can make them reach out to many other products, not only in silk but also like blended silk and silk blended products, silk along with cotton, silk along with linen, silk along with various other kind of silk which Bihar does not produce, but there is always an opportunity to tap the resources from other states and provide the weavers a opportunity where they can use these combination of different material to create products. Our clusters, not only like in terms of the silk products, but there are also opportunity to develop the spinning and the production of khadi, and very fine khadi fabric is available in Bhagalpur, in Bawanbhuti, as well as we boast of a cluster in Madhubani, where there is some of the finest muslin weaving is possible. So the role of the textile designer becomes very important here, that how we tap these resources. We have the best of the skill, we have the best of the input, which as an institute, as a design input we can provide. So we have to see that how we can link all these very well and provide milestones in the coming of the handloom and contemporary products. So with that, I would say that the responsibility lies on our shoulder. How we take it? Shall we take it as a technique which has almost there are many people who don't want to work in this sector because they don't see it as a very potential sector. But at the same time, there are many who want to be in the sector and they want the right inputs. So the thing is that all these students, you are the role masters. You are the ones who can actually make it happen. You need to strike the right partnership with the weavers, and with your inputs in design, how do you actually work along with them in good partnership and come up with things which are the requirements of the market.
Every sixth person on the earth stays in India. That means we have a huge population to cater to. And we are also aware that India has one of the earliest, or say, it has more than 5,000 years of unbroken tradition, what we call as the cultural heritage of India, textile being one of them. So it has been there, sustained through all those 5,000 years. The evidences are all available. So something which has sustained for 5,000 years are going to continue, right? There must be some merit that it has sustained for so long. And sustainability is a buzzword these days, but India has been a pioneer and has been, done that and been doing so without making any fuss about it ever since. So that we all need to recognize and appreciate. So what we have within our culture, what we have within our tradition, what we imbibe just being an Indian without being aware about it. So one thing is that we need to be more aware of things that we are into, the surrounding that we are into, the environment that we are into, and try and appreciate all these nuances. So, and handloom has, catapulted us out of lot of trouble areas in so many occasions, not only in Swadeshi movement, but even now also. So I was listening to this one talk by John Takara where he was talking about how we are living in an energy economy. So with the evolution of human beings, like in earlier times, we used to consume almost, say, 5,000 kilocalorie for survival. Presently, it is more than 60,000-70,000 kilocalories. And in the speed or in this moment of growth that we all talk about, this energy consumption is ever increasing. There's no stopping. So every government, every country that you talk about, they'll talk about growth. Now, where is this growth coming from? This growth is coming from taking the elements, taking the materials, taking everything that we are getting from the surrounding and the environment, and we are consuming. So this non-stop consumption of things, where is it going to lead us to? That's when we talk about sustainability, right? And so handloom and the traditional textiles of India being one of the sustainable source of not only textile but so many different things. It provides employment, one of the largest employment. The product that you get is what they called zero effect and zero defect. So you are not harming the environment. The carbon footprint is so less that you can't even measure it. So you are growing without harming the environment. Unlike the other mode of textiles, where the carbon footprint is very high. So why not adopt this?
Even water footprint.
Yes. So why not adopt this?
And by the way, most of the self-help group are actually in the textile sector. Women group or self-help group are actually forming in the textile sector. This is one of the major and biggest achievement to giving the micro-employment.
Yes. And believe me, most of the world's luxury products are handmade. So handloom has the potential of being the luxury product market, not only for the daily usage and all. And we not only profess or preach about adopting handloom, but we have adopted ourselves. Like all the faculty members have adopted handloom. My outgoing clothing wardrobe is 100% handloom now, with all the shirt and trousers made from handloom fabric now. So it is a challenge for the budding designers now, how to make it attractive for the next generation to adopt and to make it fashionable. So Handloom Day is not just about 7th of August or a week preceding that or before that, but handloom is something that needs to be celebrated 365 days a year. That's what I believe in, and that's what we do. So this is just a reminder to because when we are reminded of things, we wake up and we go, okay, we need to do something about it, right? But we all can do our bit. Firstly, by adopting the handloom products. So try and include more and more handloom product in your wardrobe. That's the first step. And as students, as design students, think of creative ways of how we can, build this textile industry or handloom industry into a more commercially viable and fashionable and, solving some real life problems that people face where the clothing is required. So clothing is not just required just for, or I would say fabric is not just required for the clothing purposes, but there are so many different purposes and so many different sectors that, it can cater to. Maybe, agri-tech, or maybe chem-tech, or maybe build-tech, or maybe there are so many smart textiles coming up. Think about creative ways how it can be used and how you can, take it forward for the next generation to adopt and enjoy and rejoice in handlooms and textiles.
Handloom सिर्फ बुजुर्गों के लिए या handloom is very boring. This concept has to be replaced by the importance and value of handloom. How valuable handloom had been into our independence. We have to start taking pride into handloom. And as Jayant sir just mentioned, that luxury is one connotation which goes along with the handloom, because handloom is all handmade and it's a very, I would say, bespoke, custom made. Each and every element, each and every product could be different and could be unique. So basically we have to understand that handloom that we are using is just not a fabric. It has great historical value, symbolic value, emotional value, as well as it's a luxury product. It's not a simple product. And the moment you start positioning handloom as a luxury, definitely the benefit is going to be to all who are involved in the supply chain. And definitely as students or as organizations like NIFT, which are on the world space or on the world map, it is somewhere or the other our responsibility to position it or to bring it to the world in this particular manner. And with the help of technology, of course, we can use better communications, better market reach, and help these weavers in getting what is actually due for them.
आज का ये दिन, ये पूरा सप्ताह, और हम चाहेंगे कि पूरा साल ही हम इसको इसी तरह सेलिब्रेट करें जिस तरह से हमने अपने 7 अगस्त हैंडलूम डे से अपना ये शुरुआत किया है। और जैसे कि हम जानते हैं कि हमारा ऑनरेबल श्री प्राइम मिनिस्टर श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 7 अगस्त को डिक्लेयर किया था एज ए नेशनल हैंडलूम डे ऑन द ईयर 2015 टू मार्क द 100th एनिवर्सरी ऑफ द स्वदेशी मूवमेंट व्हिच स्टार्टेड इन 1905। तो उसी चीज सिलसिले को हम लोग जागरूक करते हुए, जैसे कि हथकरघा हमारा बहुत ही पुराना ये है, और मैं इसकी शुरुआत कुछ इन चंद लम्हों से करना चाहूँगा। ये किसी नेहा कमल जी ने भी कहा था, धागा धागा जोड़ के तन की इज्जत बनाई, धागा धागा जोड़ के तन की इज्जत बनाई, मन को जैसे मोह लिया सूत की कड़ी बनाई। तो सूत की जो कड़ी बुनाई है, ये मतलब आप अगर देखेंगे, जैसे हमें पता है कि हमारा जो बेसिक नेसेसिटीज है, तो सबसे पहले हम रोटी की बात करते हैं, फिर मकान की, फिर कपड़े। तो ये हमारे दैनिक जागृत में हमारे तन को ढकने के लिए बहुत ही जरूरी और इम्पोर्टेंट एक ये है। लेकिन हम कभी कभी भूल जाते हैं कि इसके पीछे जब हमारे स्वदेशी मूवमेंट हुई थी, जब हमारे गांधी जी ने इसके लिए काफ़ी आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लिए भी काफ़ी हमारा ये किया था, तो धीरे धीरे हम पावरलूम सेक्टर की तरफ जाते हैं। लेकिन हम यहाँ पे इस वीक में माध्यम से ये बताना चाहेंगे आपको कि हमारे हथकरघा की क्या महानता है, हमारे हथकरघा ने क्या रोल प्ले किया है हमारे आज़ादी से लेकर आज तक के जीवन में, और इस पे हम किस तरह से अपना गर्व और गौरव प्रदान कर सकते हैं। तो इसी सप्ताह को हम ये करते हुए निट पटना आपको स्वागत करता है माई हैंडलूम माई प्राइड सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए, जो कि हमारे 75 ईयर्स ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस के अंतर्गत ये क्या कर रहे हैं। तो नेशनल हैंडलूम वीक सेलिब्रेट हम जो कर रहे हैं, तो इट इज आवर प्राइड वाइब्रेंट ट्रेडिशंस to tell rich legacy of handloom weavers. The National Handloom Day is observed on August 7 every year in India. So on this day, the government and other organizations honor the handloom weaving community for their immense contribution to the socio-economic development of the country. So whatever the development we are now thinking, we are talking just now, our respected professor Jain sir, Vikas sir, they all are focused about the social and as well as the economic part as well. So we have to always keep these things in aware, and as a national pride, we have to be vocal in this sentiment as well. With a deep sense of responsibility, NIFT fosters cultural awareness to support indigenous traditional knowledge and skills. With this commitment, on this Handloom Week, NIFT Patna aims to inspire the young minds about Indian handloom culture. So our focus not only to the mind, but it is to nurture and to revive the young minds, which is they are always the soul of our India, to make the things give it to the different directions. So based on the factors, just in a nutshell, हम ये करना चाहते हैं कि हमारे जो हैंडलूम वीवर्स हैं, जो बुनकर हैं, वो किस तरह से बुनाई करते हैं। तो इसके कुछ ग्लिम्स हम आपको इस स्लाइड्स के माध्यम से समझाना चाहते हैं। हम अगर एग्जांपल कॉटन के ही ले लेते हैं, तो कॉटन इज द रॉ मटेरियल विच इज आल्सो नोन एज किंग ऑफ ऑल द फाइबर्स, जैसे कि हम जानते हैं, और रेशम सिल्क इज द क्वीन अमॉन्ग ऑल द फाइबर्स। तो हम कॉटन से हम जो है, हमारे गांधी जी ने हैंड स्पिनिंग जो हमारा किस तरह से धागे से हम ये करते हैं, तो आत्मनिर्भर हमारे भारत को आज़ादी के स्वदेशी मूवमेंट के टाइम पे भी उन्होंने काफ़ी इनका ये किया था, चरखा। और उस समय हम जैसे जानते हैं कि हमारे भारत का जो नेशनल फ्लैग है, वहाँ पे चरखा का ये आया था, फिर धीरे धीरे हमारा ये था। तो ये हमारा आज से नहीं, हम इसके लिए काफ़ी हमने प्राइड भी फील किया है, और इसके हमने काफ़ी देखते हुए हमने ये किया है। सबसे पहले हैंड स्पिनिंग ये हुआ, तो जहाँ से धागा से हमारा यान बनता है। After the yarn, it is go for the, generally in handloom what we done, वी डन इट विद द हैंडलूम डाइंग, क्योंकि हमें हैंडलूम डाइंग में हैंड डाइंग को ज्यादातर प्रेफरेंस करते हैं इन ऑर्डर टू गेट आवर वैल्यू एडिशन टू द टेक्सटाइल मटेरियल्स। तो हैंडलूम डाइंग में, हमारे हैंड डाइंग में या तो हम नेचुरल प्रकृति रंग से भी करते हैं या तो सिंथेटिक डाई। ज्यादातर हम देखे हैं कि जो हमारे बुनकर भाई होते हैं, बुनकर लोग ज्यादातर हमें नेचुरल प्रकृति के रंग पे भी आज बहुत उजागर हुए हैं और काफी सारा वाइब्रेंट कलर्स और काफी सारा वाइब्रेंट रंग हमारे इसमें दिया जाता है। उसके बाद हम बॉबिन वाइंडिंग करते हैं, देन आफ्टर दैट इट्स गो फॉर द वार्पिंग एंड देन sizing is required in order to protect the warp yarn from wear and tear. So it's also depends on whatever the number of count or the fineness we use. If it is a very coarser count, then there is no required for the sizing material. But if it is a very finer count, so generally for the warp yarn we give the sizing materials in order to increase this strength. After that, it's go for the attaching the warp onto the loom. Then we go for the weft winding, so that weft with the help of the fern that will be going to the shuttle, and then with the help of a weaving process, that is the interlacement of warp and weft. उसके बाद हम लोग हैंडलूम की वीविंग और बुनाई करते हैं। तो ये हम एक ग्लिम्स के माध्यम से हम करना चाहते हैं कि वो किस तरह से एक धागा को हम एक धागे को यान के रूप में कन्वर्ट करते हैं, फिर यान को बहुत तरह से कलर करते हुए उसको बुनाई के रूप में कन्वर्ट करते हैं। अभी हमारे बुनाई, आफ्टर बुनाई भी हम रंगाई और छपाई हमारे बुनकर करते हैं, वीवर्स बहुत सारे फैमिलीज, एंड देन वी गेट अ वेरी वाइब्रेंट कलर्स एंड वाइब्रेंट इफेक्ट ऑन द स्टाइल मटेरियल्स। प्रिपरेशन ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल्स, तो जैसे हमने देखा, तो हमारे अगर हम अपने भागलपुर बिहार की बात करें तो यहाँ पे हमारे रॉ सिल्क में रॉ मटेरियल में सिल्क रेशम की काफी ये दिया गया है, जिसमें तसर सिल्क का काफी ये है। तो तसर सिल्क के जिस तरह से यहाँ पे ये रीलिंग ऑफ सिल्क जिसे कहते हैं, तो दे स्टार्टेड विद द बॉइल्ड वाटर और सोडा को आधे से 2 घंटे तक वो ये करते हैं विद सोडा। आफ्टर दैट वो सिल्क का स्ट्रैंड्स को अनवाउंड ऑनटू द बॉम्बू स्पूल्स, and then after that they use the bare thighs to draw out a single filament of silk from the cocoons. तो जैसे कि आपने हमें बताया था कि वो फाइबर को हम चरखा के माध्यम से यान करते हैं, तो ये थाई में, ये आप अगर हमें झारखंड के राज्य में अगर आप साहिबगंज के डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जाएंगे तो वहाँ पे आपको ये बहुत दिखेंगे, हमारे भागलपुर में भी दिखेंगे। तो थाई में रील करके वो कोकून्स का यान बनाते हैं और ये बहुत ही एक कठिन परिश्रम के द्वारा इस रेशम के जो हमारे रानी कहते हैं, क्वीन ऑफ ऑल द फाइबर्स, उसकी जो चमक है वो लाते हैं। आफ्टर दैट थ्रोइंग, जो कि स्पूल्स आर ट्रांसफर्ड टू द स्किन्स व्हिच आफ्टर ड्राइंग आर रील्ड ऑन बोबिन्स टू मेक अ थिकर, स्ट्रॉन्गर एंड मल्टी थ्रेड yarns. Around 10 skins are twisted together and continue this process of throwing. उसके बाद में डाइंग, दैट इज ऑन मोस्टली दे गोज फॉर द नेचुरल डाइज और द सिंथेटिक डाइज यूज्ड फॉर द डाइंग ऑफ अ तसर सिल्क इन ऑर्डर टू गेट अ वाइब्रेंट प्रोसेस। तो स्पिनिंग ऑफ कॉटन यार्न, जैसे कि हम जानते हैं, दीज आर नाउअडेज वी हैव डन इट, बट चरखा जो हमारा हैंड ऑपरेटेड डिवाइस था, जिसको गांधी जी ने काफी पॉपुलराइज किया ड्यूरिंग द इंडिपेंडेंस मूवमेंट, और हमें फैमिली में भी हम इस चीज को हम कोशिश करते हैं। हमारे स्टूडेंट यहाँ के इस चरखा के माध्यम से धागे से यान के बनाते हुए बुनाई का काफी एक्सपोजर भी करते हैं। हम कुछ ग्लिम्स हमारे बुनकर भाइयों का दिखाना चाहते हैं कि कैसे वो करते हैं। तो धागे से चरखा के माध्यम से यान बनने के बाद हमारे ये आपका जाता है सेक्शनल वार्पिंग, तो हॉरिजॉन्टल वार्पिंग जो होती है, ये क्रिल होती है, क्रिल के वहां से धागा जाता है एंड उसके बाद में ये आपका वीवर्स वीव में ये किया जाता है। सो दिस इज द ग्लिम्स ऑफ अ हैंडलूम वीविंग। ये हथकरघा जो हम लोग हैंडलूम इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं, हिंदी में इसको हथकरघा हम बोलते हैं। ये फिर हैंडलूम में इसकी ताना और बाना, दैट इज वार्प, ताना और वेब ऑफ बाना, इसको दोनों के मिलने के बाद ये आपका बुनाई होता है, दैट इज अ वीविंग प्रोसेस इज देयर एंड दीज आर द डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द हैंडलूम। इसे हम लोग हिल्ड आई कहते हैं, जहाँ के पास हो रहा है। इसके बाद यहाँ पे रीड है, रीड से धागा पास होती है। फिर यहाँ पे ये शटल बॉक्स है, जहाँ से शटल एक तरफ से दूसरे तरफ जाती है और ये बुनाई हमें होता है। और हमें हथकरघा का जो हमें बहुत ब्यूटीफुल कलर के साथ में और बहुत अच्छे अच्छे पैटर्न हमें दिखते हैं, तो यही मशीन है इसकी जननी जिसके द्वारा इस हथकरघा हैंडलूम के मशीन के द्वारा हम इससे बुनाई इजिली हमारे बुनकर करते हैं। हमारे काफी सारे राज्यों में जैसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट इंडिया को अगर हम देखेंगे तो वहाँ पे बैक स्ट्रैप लूम भी चलती है, जो कि बहुत ही इजी प्रोसेस है, बट वहाँ की जो लूम की जो बैक स्ट्रैप लूम की जो हम लोग डिजाइन देखते हैं, कला देखते हैं, वो अद्भुत है। वो अपने आप में एक अद्भुत नजारा देखने को हमें मिलता है। हैंडलूम सेक्टर्स सेक्टर्स जो है बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती है इन आवर कंट्रीज इकोनॉमी। The texture and color with the most intricate of woven patterns and embroidery can believe most anyone's spellbound. Archaeological evidence traces the beginning of handloom in the Indian subcontinent back to the Indus Valley civilization. The advance of the Mughal Empire saw weavers getting patronage from the royalty and creation of new fabrics such as malmal, narsi brocade, jamawar, etc. Post-independence, the government of India took several steps to revive the handloom sector as well. Designers like Ritu Kumar, Sabyasachi, Sanjay Garg, and others have also given much needed exposure to handloom weavers, not just in India but across the world as well. हैंडलूम वीविंग, अगर हम इंडियन की कल्चरल की बात करें, अगर इंडियन कल्चरल के मायने में हम देखें तो हमारे यहाँ पे काफी WSC वीवर सर्विस सेंटर है और क्लस्टर्स हैं। So cluster is a geographical concentration, which is either a city, town or few adjacent village, जहाँ पे हम adjacent areas में ये काफी होते हैं, of units producing near similar products and facing common opportunities and threats. An artisan is a geographically concentrated, mostly in village or township, household units producing handicrafts or handloom products. Producers often belong to a traditional community producing the long-established products for generations. So these are the few glimpses of clusters all over the India. Within that, Bhagalpur silk, Banarsi saris, Lohi shawls, Jamdani saris. These are most of the common Chanderi. So all over India is a pride, and we can say our handloom. We always feel pride as all over the India. We have a lots of things to celebrate, to things to for our ingrained to socio-economic culture as well. So moving towards the saris of India, we always feel pride for our handloom weavers. So Kandhani weave is from the Tamil Nadu, Sambalpuri weave from the Odisha, Paithani weave from the Maharashtra. The beautiful intricacies also continues its journey of a sari from the Ikal weave from the Karnataka, weave of Kinori shawls from Himachal Pradesh, Tangalia weave from Gujarat, Godu or Mijim weave from Assam, Venkatagiri weave from Andhra Pradesh, Kwan weave from Mizoram, Potla weave from Gujarat, Panja weave from Haryana, Masu weave from Gujarat, Lepcha weave from Sikkim, Kunbi weave from Goa, Korendu weave from Tamil Nadu, Kota Doria from Rajasthan, Kirkam weave from Uttar Pradesh, Kani weave from Kashmir, Kanchipuram brocade weaving from Tamil Nadu, Jamdani weave from West Bengal, Himru weave from Maharashtra, Chanderi weave from Madhya Pradesh, Baluchar weave from West Bengal, Bomkai weave from Odisha. तो ये हमारे कुछ ग्लिम्स साड़ियों के हैं जिसपे हम always we feel pride to our handloom. So that's the lots of intricacies designs with a fine touch of their arts and also it reflects our culture. तो अभी अगर हम अपने my handloom my pride की बात करें तो we always feel pride to our states for their intrinsic design and arts and culture. Now the question comes why we should feel pride to our handloom weavers. So there are many reasons. Out of that I only give focus on the 6 reasons why we should support and feel pride to our weavers or the artisans. Source of livelihood for many, enhances socio-economic development, promotes ingenious handloom textiles, preserves age-old techniques, creates a unique cultural identity, a sustainable choice compared to the fast fashion. तो अगर हम फैशन की भी बात करें तो हैंडलूम इज नो डाउट अ सस्टेनेबल टूल. एज just now Jan sir is also discussed about the sustainable. So in case of fashion, in case of textile design, there is a, as we use the natural materials, as we use the natural dyeing process, as here the lots of natural and the from the it's also related with the nature. So it is somewhere our mother nature is related with this handloom weaving process, and it's make a sustainable choice for our day-to-day life also. Now here's some glimpse of NIP Patna. While for promoting our My Handloom, My Pride, there is some work we have. Now it's a picture, we can show it from this slide. We have also given time to time every year with the lots of weavers, the artisans, their training on the National Institute of Fashion Technology, Patna. These are the few works and few initiatives which also taken by the textile design students and other design department students and faculty. Here are few of the saris of the handloom works which our students always promote on the artisans to give their enhancement in the dyeing, enhancement in the weaving process. These are the few natural dyeing process with done by the students with the turmeric, with tea, and with tie and dye effect also. These are the few glimpses of the weaving process where the student give the design intrinsics with the help of a handloom, so that they can give the lots of design which can be possible with the handloom, and it gives the value addition to the materials. Here, in order to promote some inspiration from the local, vocal for the local, our students has also tried the initiatives. One short video is also just on the Handloom Day. They have presented.
गगन लागे रे तुमसे प्यार बलम केसरी तुमसे प्यार लगन लागे रे तुमसे लागे बलम केसरी तुमसे लागे.
I would say that we have a very good potential in terms of developing our handlooms for contemporary use. And the weavers with whom I have been working, not only now but from almost the past some 14-15 years. And I can tell you one thing, that I see that they are immensely skilled. They are, they have not been to any design school. They have learned what they have learned from their forefathers, and the way in the family, in the weaver family, new weavers or the family members, they get inducted. They learn the skill from their family members, and they are having all the knowledge of creating different weights and different variety of fabric. Having said that, some of the finest silk products are made in Bhagalpur, and some of the best brands in the country, they look forward to source their products from Bhagalpur. And this is not something new. This has been happening. And I would say that, what happens that in many places, work happens and there is enough exposure, and things are highlighted in the right perspective. What is happening in our place is, there is work, there is skill, there is work also which is happening, but it is that we do not bring it to the forefront for people to see that what is it that is being done, how it is being done, who are the people doing it, And what happens when you purchase a product like that? What is the kind of contribution you are making to the lives of these people? So there's a lot of like effort in terms of like, you know, upgradation of quality, in terms of communicating the right strengths, and like, you know, building a partnership. So with this, like, you know, if we work towards, there is enough potential for many of these weaves and our weaver family to grow in the right way. And we must see that, you know, how not only that they continue doing what they have been doing traditionally, but they should also get the input in terms of what is it that the market wants them to do. Because see, there is a difference between like, you know, performing a craft and then using that skill to make something which is like, you know, requirement of the contemporary market. And this bridge has to be like, you know, linked very well. And if we succeed in doing so, we will be able to do a lot of contribution in terms of, you know, upgradation of these weaves as well as the lives of the weavers and the cluster. So it is like, you know, we just have to get the right pulse of our craft, and if we've done so, then things will go in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Then I come to the second question. That is a very obvious question for anybody from the Bihar, and which is associated with the handloom. What is specialty about the Bhagalpuri silk? Why it is so famous? I will request any of the experts can answer this question, please. Why the Bhagalpuri silk is so famous?
I would actually like take you through this because, you know, when I was a student of textile design, I got like, you know, I got to do like a variety of skills and a variety of weaves and different clusters I did go to. But, you know, when like, you know, when working with Fab India, who has like a very large producer base in Bhagalpur, and, you know, at that time also when the product came, there was always like, you know, what you were seeing as a ready product. So you would never come to know that, you know, what goes behind in the story. But when doing the Ustad project, when we went back to the cluster, and the role the role I got to work upon was that I was like the intermediary who was going to work over like, you know, the design brief and getting the designers and the artisans together. And I found that, you know, there is so much which goes into the actual setting up of the loom. Before that, it's actually the fiber. And, you know, this fiber procurement, which is like, you know, there are a whole variety of silk which like, you know, India boasts of. But one of the finest and, you know, one of the cutest silk, in fact, which is like, you know, there is a lot of like, though you see that there is like, you know, that rawness and the color is like, you know, that not that refined as that of a mulberry. But the thing is that, you know, there is this beauty of this wild silk, which is like, you know, even though it is not, when it is not colored, still because of the variations of the seasons and the temperature and the method of reeling the silk, it actually produces an array of like, you know, light gold to beiges to dark browns to the silk which has got like a little bit of that wood cocoon, which also gets like, you know, woven into the silk, and that gives a very good quality to the silk. So, you know, when I started interacting with these spinners, I found that there is so much of information which is actually not coming to the forefront. And when we started writing like a little inscription for each of the products we developed in the cluster, we found that, you know, the awareness actually brought a lot of change in the buying pattern of the customer. Many people are now interested, wherever we have gone, exhibiting our products with the exhibitions. And wherever we have gone, showing it into the potential market, since the product is still in the pipeline, there's a lot of awareness about the Tussar silk of Bhagalpur. And we boost off a very good cluster. We boost off, actually, I would say, to textiles, it's not the traditional connect. Today, some of the best international brands, they are getting their home textiles sourced and developed in Bhagalpur. So, there is so much one can do. There is a lot of potential amongst all the silks. The Tussar cocoons are the best producing ones with a variety of raw and natural color palette. So I think that being said, there is a lot of potential working in the segment for production of Tussar silk.
It is the biggest trade center of Eastern India. Bhagalpur silk, that is Tussar silk, is the biggest trade center for Eastern India, sir. And it has been also named for due to its popularity for Bhagalpuri silk. And sir, it is a weave that is date back to a period more than 100 years.
The role women play in the entire handloom weaving industry is very, very important. Because, before the loom is set, there is a lot of work, there is a lot of local labor which has to be performed. And for these, the household members of the weaver's family, as well as the neighboring women, they all do so much of work is required. Where these little bobbins and the spools have to be filled with yarn, and they have to prepare it in the right sequence for the weaver to start drafting the loom. So there is a lot of work which is happening in the weaver's shed itself, and without the contribution of the women there, this may not be a fruitful exercise. So I see that the role women are playing in the handloom weaving is very, very important, and we must acknowledge that their hard work is what we actually see as a very beautiful product. So,
if you look at this Bhagalpur cluster, it as Dr. Pintu said, that in history it has been a major trade center because of its production of silk. And when you look at production of silk, it's a very inclusive system. What Rajni ma'am was trying to say, that it's not just one weaver who is weaving, but there is an entire ecosystem around the process, which involves people from all strata, people from all different socio and economic cultural background of the area, including women who had traditionally been not counted in economic activities generally in throughout the country. But here, if you go to what ma'am was saying, that a lot of labor intensive work like reeling of the yarn, thigh reeling which happens, which is done only by women, starting from boiling the cocoon and getting that all fibers out, and then reeling it, and then converting it into yarn, preparing the loom, everything. It's a total inclusive process, and it all happens at a particular geographical location, and it has a lot of geographical significance because of the production of the process and the entire the supply chain that goes into it. There was one question earlier which was asked that what is the potential, and as ma'am rightly said, there is immense potential, because the entire process, if you look at, has not been developed up to the modern standards yet, which might have been done in other handloom clusters across the country. If you go to Maharashtra, if you go to Gujarat, if you go to Kerala, you will find better systems in place over there than compared to what we have today. But then that is a plus point for the people who want to get involved into this sector, because you have a lot of potential available now. And all this, if coupled with GI, it will give an exclusive edge, a marketing point, an identification point, and GI gives you a kind of identification, a kind of branding, and which is very much required for the cluster. So the question is very apt, and yes, it can definitely benefit.
Your first responsibility is to hone your skills. and there are multiple skills that is required in order to perform well in the sector. So hone your skills, learn the skills, and also relate it to the theory that you have been encountering in your day-to-day life, and try to relate it with the practice that you are doing. Another important thing is you have to go in the field and work there. You cannot sit in your home, at the comfort of your home, and then talk about contributing in the handloom sector. You have to go out, collaborate with the weavers, work with the weavers, work in the sector, work in that craft cluster. You have to get your hands dirty in order to learn the nuances involved in the trade. And believe me, that's immense learning. These artisans and these weavers might not have been to any school or universities. Still, they are universities in themselves, because the craft that they are expert of, that has been passed from one generation to another. So if you want to learn, you have to be, their disciples and their students. So you have to be in the field in order to learn. Secondly, how do you contribute? So first step is you learn, okay, and you look for opportunities, because through the lens of design, you can see, or you can turn a lot of day-to-day things into opportunities. Like day-to-day activities can be turned into opportunities by looking through the lens of design. So that you will develop by developing all these skills, developing all these observation skills, and understanding and learning the different techniques that you will be introduced throughout the curriculum, right? So there's one term that is more popularly used these days, is called design thinking. So you empathize well with the audience, and then you ideate, and then you prototype and test, and then you reiterate. So that's in a nutshell the process. But then the bottom line is you need to get involved. You need to get your hands dirty, and there are too many processes that is involved in order to develop any product, right? Say it a sari, or a gamcha, or a lungi, or a dupatta, or a yardage material, or some home furnishing product. No matter what product you are making into, it has a lot of processes that it goes through, right from the yarn stage, or say the fiber stage, to the finished product stage, to the customer. Throughout the product life cycle, a product goes into many stages. So once you become aware of the whole system and how it works, then you will understand where the intervention is required, and how you as a designer and your skill set as a designer can be brought into adding value to the whole system together.
As the designer, I think the best tool of a designer is the utensils like a pen and the toolbox that make the design. For very popular quote, कलम देश की बड़ी शक्ति है, भाव जगाने वाली, दिल ही नहीं दिमागों में भी आग लगाने वाली. So I think that this tool, what it can make the impact, that we have to always think on it, and then you will say the true design thinking within you that reflect to all over India and all over the world. If I say in one word, the same thing, handloom is our pride, which, because as we know, sir, heritage, it gives lots of things. Just like heritage, it's get from our generation to generation. So same thing, sustainability is connected to Mother Nature. So if we give respect to our heritage, we certainly give respect to the sustainability as well. So somewhere the things which we are using today, that can be used for tomorrow. So that's the things always we have to keep in mind. Whatever the things, whatever design, whatever work, whatever product you are using today, that should be last for 100 years. That should be last for generation after generation. That give the connectivity to the sustainability. And that's how this is also the word relate. And somewhere we should not forget our Mother Nature. If you think for Mother Nature, sustainability automatically connect with that particular products or that particular thinking also. So whenever you think for the preserving of our mother nature, sustainability always gives side by side to it.
Nowadays you'll be listening this word quite often, sustainability. So there are multiple layers to this word,
yeah.
sustainability. So we need to understand in totality what exactly this sustainability means, right? And in order to understand what exactly are we looking at. So sustainability has different connotations. One of them is economic sustainability, whether some activity is economically sustainable or not. So handloom products, again, it remains a question whether it is how economic sustainable is the handloom product. So if you compare with the, say, power loom sector, then that comparison would be wrong, because it cannot compete with the production aspect of the power loom sector. But in terms of quality and in terms of the material, what handloom product can be made, a power loom can never make it. So economic sustainability, definitely it is economically sustainable product. Potential is there with the handloom production. Another thing is social aspect of sustainability. So as we discussed previously, India has a huge population to cater to, and food, clothing and shelter being the primary needs. So clothing, handloom definitely can cater to providing clothing for a majority population. Another thing which makes it socially relevant is the potential to generate employment, because it is labor intensive, because too many people can be employed. In a country like India, it becomes very important and very essential or very viable, socially viable system where a large population can be employed in this sector. So socially sustainable also. Then comes environmental part, like whether it is environmentally sustainable or not. So we have already discussed that the carbon footprint of the handloom sector is so minimal that you can it's difficult to measure also. So definitely it is environmentally sustainable, because the raw material that is required is obtained from the nearby without putting much burden onto the nature, and the process that is followed is completely handmade and manual process. So there also the usage of energy and so non-renewable sources of energy is not there, so the carbon footprint is not there. So environmentally also it is very much sustainable. So sustainability may have much more layers, but I'll restrict to these three aspects. So definitely handloom production is very much sustainable economically, socially and environmentally.
In handloom sector, the Gandhiji also, it's very fit to the Gandhiji's quote, that there is enough in this world for our need, but not for our greed. So I think if you use this quotation of Gandhiji, you understand how the handlooms and sustainability is correlated. So in handloom sector, there is enough for our need, but once we go for the greed, we seek for the different sectors such as power loom and all that.
Among the few thousand billionaires that is there on earth these days, one of them is Naveen Jain. So he says that if you want to become a billionaire, so what is the way to become a billionaire? So identify a problem for a huge population or huge number of people. And if you can solve that small problem for, say, 1 billion people and charge them 1 rupee for it, you have already made your billion. So the thing is, can you identify that one problem which affects 1 billion people and solve it for them? And even if you charge just 1 rupee for that solution, you are already a billionaire. So that's the potential that we are looking at. So yeah, definitely it has a lot of potential. And with the young minds like our students, we see a lot of scope and a lot of things that can be explored in the sector on a ground level. But you have to be on a ground level. You cannot just say that, okay, what is the scope in Bihar or what is the scope in Bhagalpur? You have to be in Bhagalpur and you have to get involved only then you'll be able to understand what the scope is. Because no matter how much we say what the potential are and what the things are, you have to experience it firsthand yourself, right? And then correlate it with all your learnings and findings and theory, and try to apply and see where you can take it forward. Because all those people who have made a fortune from Bhagalpur and the sector, they have done it through that way only. They landed in Bhagalpur, worked with the weaver, explored products, tested it in the market, see what worked for them, and then tailor-made their things that suited them, and they continue to do that each day, every day. And that's how this cycle of innovation and product development is happening in that area, day in, day out. That's how it is being done. And the people who are involved, they are doing it this way only. So you have to get there, you have to work hard, you have to explore, you have to innovate, and you have to continue doing that.
The best thing about the handloom is its uniqueness, which often depicts the weaver's state of mind. For instance, when a weaver is angry with the fabric, would be a little tight, while it would be loose when he said he's sad. Also, the god level of craftsmanship is unmatched in contrary to the power looms. Power looms remains a threat to handloom, but the amount of dedication it takes to produce a handloom fabric and the heritage value of nostalgic journey and with the weaver would always rule out so-called thread of power loom. Handlooms are interlaced with emotions, whereas power loom holds no such values. Handlooms is the signature of preservance, beauty beyond bondage of religional dogma, and more importantly, it is timeless, permitting experimentation and encouraging innovations. The strength of handloom lies in the introducing design, which cannot be replicated by the power loom. Thus, handloom forms a part of heritage of India and exemplifies the richness and diversity of our country and the artistry of weavers. As quoted by a prominent weaver, handloom is not only interlaces the warp and weft yarn into a piece of fabric, but also weavers involved into a family. When it comes to employment, the handloom sector has one of the major sector after agriculture. Reason being is employ more than 4.3 million people across different parts of India, and it continues to be an important source of livelihood, especially for women, who form around 70% of weaver in the sector. There is no any other economic sector in the entire world which empower women at such tremendous arena. So it can be concluded that handloom has been playing quite a significant role in women empowerment at grassroots of rural level.
According to the 4th All India Handloom Census, which was done between 2019 and 2020, there are almost 26,73,891 handloom workers and artisans that are actively participating in India. However, this is the census that was done before the pandemic started. And since we have done our craft cluster in the time of the pandemic, we're aware of the struggles that have been faced by the artisans and different artisans that have been doing different artworks, and especially handloom in India. So, as previously mentioned by all our expert speakers, the handloom sector in India faces a lot of issues, whether it is in terms of financing or whether it is in terms of artists and artisans being able to connect directly to the market. One of the first problems that they face is how they do not have ownership of their own work. Now, that can be further detailed in the fact that a lot of them do not have the finances to procure raw material, so middlemen provide them with the warps and threads and different materials. Now, what that does is they cannot control the final price point of how they sell the products and how they can directly sell the products in the market. They would be paid a minimum wage or a wage of 300 rupees to 400 rupees for making a sari because they do not own the material that they're using. So what that does is they become... Now, when a person is able to procure their own warp, they're able to control the pricing at which they'll sell in the main market. That is why it is important to connect artisans using technology to the market and the end user directly. Another way this can be done is by having us textile design students and other businesses and main designers forming collaborations directly with artisans in different villages and communities, as opposed to going through the middlemen or somebody else who will earn most of the profits and not the artisans. If an artisan has the finances, they would not force their students and their children to procure finances and money from a different business. They could continue this art form if they have the finances. We live in a capitalistic society, and we have to realize if something's not profitable, nobody would continue doing it for the sake of doing it. Which is why it is important to re-emphasize how in India is an ultimate form of luxury, because handmade products are luxurious. In a market where everybody is making mass manufactured products that are duplicate copies of each other, something that is unique has more value. And it is important that handloom products are represented as luxury in the market as well. Which is why reducing their price point is not our main goal. It has to be a product that people want to pay for, and it has to be a product that people strive to achieve or procure. And the only reason that would be is if we kind of contribute more towards purchasing handloom products and also directly consuming products that are made by artisans, as opposed to going to a shop or somebody who's a middleman and the profits not going directly to artisans. Now, my main speech was about this part as well. And something else that I would like to say is how the younger generation like us have a major role to play in accepting things about our culture. The fashion industry often talks about cultural appropriation being an issue. Now, we being Indian people, we being people that represent our culture, we have to embrace the things that have been done by artisans for many generations.
धागा धागा जोड़कर तन की इज्जत बनाई, मन को जैसे मोह लिया, सूत की कड़ी बनाई. My speech isn't so much of a speech as it is an ode, a homage, a tribute to those countless weavers, artisans, and craftsmen who, day in and day out, tirelessly toil away at the loom, shedding, picking, beating up, with a rhythm akin to the heartbeat of a human being, to don yet another exquisite sari, but remain faceless, nameless, all for a meager sum of money in the name of credit. From the dyer sitting in Patan under the blazing sun, marking and tying the weft and warp yarns, to the weavers of Pochampalli Ikat in Telangana, I say thank you. Thank you for bestowing upon us the gift of your exquisite craftsmanship and leaving a legacy of generations to come. When an artisan weaves a piece of fabric, they are not just creating a piece of clothing. They are creating the identity of an entire nation. An artisan is like the weft yarn, interlacing the 1.3 billion warp yarns, uniting us all when we wear khadi or handloom, creating a rich tapestry of cultural heritage. This day always takes me back to the ironically placed first chapter of our 12th English course book titled The Last Lesson, which describes the language of a country as a key to freedom. Our handloom industry follows the same definition. It is our key to freedom. It was our key to freedom back in 1905 as well, when the Swadeshi movement was launched, enabling thousands of weavers to boycott the foreign goods in quest of freedom and self-rule. And it will always remain a vehicle for our sovereignty. As a textile design student, it gives me immense pride to be a part of an industry so diverse, unique, and skilled that I would like to take this opportunity to take a pledge on behalf of my badge to always keep striving to uplift and empower our artisans, and to always be mindful of the choices we make both as designers and as consumers.
Was not handloom an Indian way of life? We have a very rich heritage in terms of handicrafts and handlooms. Somewhere we lost track as a generation, probably due to Western influence, fast fashions sold via online portals, which are also cheaper, and our hectic lifestyles that make it difficult to maintain handlooms. Gradually, saw society drift away from it, thanks to more awareness via social media and celebrity pages. There are more buyers for handlooms in the recent years. But most, don't understand the difference between handloom and powerloom. And for many, the knowledge is so superficial that they easily get duped by lookalike. Like so as much as there are certainly more patrons and more new handloom clusters that has been brought to light, I am not sure how much under the surface of this hype, those that work at grassroots levels in this sector are actually benefiting at this point. Innovation in terms of design and colors are happening in the handloom sectors. So there are more choice for those opting to wear handloom, but in a contemporary style these days, dresses in azrak, bandhni, ikkat, plazos and skirts, Banarsi stoles like I'm wearing right now, kalamkari dupattas and salwar sets in all kinds of fabrics are widely available and appeals to a wider audience locally as well as globally. So what's my initiation into handlooms? I was always a cotton lover, right from the time I remember. Textile were an area of interest, but I cannot claim I was purist when it came to handlooms until I was a textile student. Friends who were very knowledgeable about textiles discussed and debated about various weaves and evoked a deeper interest in me to learn more about the rich heritage we have. So I have since tried those and accessorized it with right statement pieces. Handlooms can also look as chic and stylish as any Western wear. And what's my ways to support the handloom industry for now? Like, I can't claim to be doing much excepting being a patron and doing my bit to canvas the beauty of various weaves through my social media handling. And as a textile student, I am trying to get innovated by these designs. So that is my perception on it.
With every up and down motion of the shafts, the shuttles moving back and forth, and the hammering of the weaving comb, a piece of craft is born. India, a land of diversity, is also the country with the world's largest number of weavers and an extremely rich heritage of handloom products. There are different weaves in every nook and corner of India, as every state and region has developed its own style of weaving based on cultural background and historical references. Handloom is not just a craft that is worn or used, but it's wrapped along with a lot of emotions and efforts. The handloom industry has existed since beyond the reach of memory and has been successful in representing and preserving the vibrant Indian culture although the current scenario paints a rather tragic picture. In 1918, khadi cloth was used by Mahatma Gandhi as a substantial part of the occurring Swadeshi movement. The main features of this India's freedom struggle movement were to non-cooperate with the British government and make it collapse, as well as boycotting British goods made in our country, consequently created India's own industry by manufacturing own goods and buying those only that would in return create jobs locally, thus generating a significant revenue internally, making khadi cloth the heart of this strategy. Gandhi stated, "There is no beauty in the finest cloth if it makes hunger and unhappiness," and asked every man and woman to plant and harvest their own materials for the yarn needed to create khadi fabric. Everyone, whether rich or poor, united through shared labor and spent each day spinning khadi, weaving their way to economic freedom through fashion. Despite being called disparagingly as the half-naked fakir by Winston Churchill, Gandhi continued his journey towards personal and sartorial authenticity to becoming the dhoti-clad Mahatma of India's millions. Even after freedom, the patriotic Indian mass didn't adopt the Western couture. It took us some time, since commercialization opened the gates for the Western brands to slowly weave their way into our wardrobe, creating a tough competition for the local craftsmen to cope up with the production value. As we often dress to impress and follow the status quo or dominant trends in fashion promoted by our peers and associates, we paved the way for the rapid emergence of the fast fashion. Globally, 80 billion pieces of latest clothing are purchased per annum, translating to $1.2 trillion annually for the worldwide apparel industry. China and Bangladesh are the two main countries where the majority of the production takes place, while the United States is known for consuming more clothing and textiles than any other nation in the world. This has made fashion inexpensive and easily available, but also turned fashion into a sweet poison. The rise of influencer culture and marketing has opened a distinct segment for fast fashion brands. Now, wearing an equivalent outfit twice seems taboo. The fast fashion industry is known for underpaid and exploitation of labor, biggest polluter of water, generator of massive textile waste which is non-biodegradable, etc. Therefore, craftsmanship and the skill of hand weaving is taken into account as the oldest surviving craft of the planet. Pieces are crafted according to need and not for mass consumerism, hence quality over quantity. Consumers must understand fashion as more of a utilitarian product instead of entertainment, and be able to pay higher prices that account for environmental impact of fashion. When something is handcrafted, it also creates a sense of purpose and a community that ensures value and helps to preserve a traditional livelihood. The handloom sector certainly faces a lot of challenges with the acceptance and the versatility of power looms, like low productivity, limited scope of technological upgradation, tendency of skilled labor to shift to other sectors, and so on. But the government of India is adopting focused and flexible holistic approach to satisfy the challenges of domestic and global market, expansion of overall market through competitive pricing to extend domestic and international market share, training, enhanced entrepreneurial support, infusion of latest contemporary designs, organizing especially women workers into self-help groups, providing them with research and development support, quick access to raw materials at subsidized prices, and especially easy credit flow at low interest rates. The weavers are the treasure of the country, and we cannot afford to lose the gems like them. They are those who can truly sustain handicrafts and complete this craft culture, which will help India preserve its historic glory and shine among other nations. Together, we will stand with the weavers and weave an imperishable lifestyle. The quintessential awareness about the essence and passion of being human is primarily to notice all the aspects around us with an unconditional form of unification. The warmth in the air, the charm in a smile, the vibrancy in all the colors of life around us, the zeal and zenith to soar to new heights, and above all, the trust and belief in oneself to be able to expressive of thy emotions and follow the heart to give meaning to everything that the eye sees. Handloom weavers thus portray their vivid dreams and leave them behind for the generations to come. Individuals working in this sector are working for over 25 years, which makes an unceasing love for the loom and therefore the willingness to find out more through experience. They are filled with hope and wake up to live through the day to fabricate the art that they live for. Our confidence is what pulls off an attire and brings it in trend. It just needs to be styled differently with the right conscience, with comfort and charm.
कभी धूप कभी बादलों की कलियां, कुछ तूने सी है मैंने की है रफ्फू ये डोरियां, कुछ तूने सी है मैंने की है रफ्फू ये डोरियां.
Handloom, an Indian way of life. We have very rich heritage in terms of handicraft and handloom. Handloom is legacy of India. It forms a precious part of generational legacy. Every time you wear handloom, you help someone weave a part of their dreams. Every thread, every pull, every pattern is a reminder to us about the amount of work that goes behind every piece. This tradition of weaving by hand gives shapes to our cultural heritage. Handloom is full of versatility, innovations, and experiment. And this artistry skill of the weavers cannot be replicated by any power looms. Our country is tremendously famous for its rich heritage and culture. That is a blend of so many aspects, starting from values to skills to art to architecture. Indian handloom have always been a vital part when we count on our rich heritage. It is second most industry in India after agriculture that provides occupation to people. It is at top, not because of the resources that we have to make the fabric, but due to the artistic skills that we Indians have. And the best part is that the art of textile, this varies all over the nation, giving every state a different identity and a different uniqueness. Every state has its own art in field of handloom that makes it unique. Just by looking at the pattern and the form of the fabric, we are able to tell that where this fabric is developed, that from where this design has been initiated or it has been inspired. As we move by looking all over our nation, we find so many different patterns, and all those patterns differ from each other. Like Fulkari from Punjab differs from the textile art of the Pashmina of Kashmir. Then moving to Chikankari of Uttar Pradesh, it varies from Bandhani of Gujarat and Kanjivaram of Tamil Nadu. Every art has its own essence that contribute to culture of the state. But sadly, such a potential segment of our country is beset with many false problems such as obsolete technologies, low productivity, inadequate working capital, weak market.
India, the land of unity in diversity, has not only different groups who operate to live in a single society, but culture, variety, fabrics are breathtaking. Indian handloom has been a tradition than an occupation so far. The extraordinary skills, craftsmanship, and intricate designs promote the traditional heritage of India. These handmade fabrics are woven using looms. The hand-spun, hand-woven fabrics are rustic, and the irregularity in their weave makes them unique and charming. In India, even though we have handloom being done in every region, the feel of the fabric differs from one place to another. It's very distinctive to the region, whether it is Banarsi, Kanjivaram, Chanderi, Khadi, or any other. They reflect the wonder of the dexterity of the artisans. Handloom fashion are one of the most enduring, comforting, and body-friendly. They help create awareness for a green globe too. The speciality of the material is unique and involves the use of natural fibers such as silk and cotton. Since the climatic conditions of regions vary, it compelled to use suitable other materials in combination with rayon polyester fibers. Surat, the state of Gujarat, is known as the greatest textile industry, is famous to adapt to changes, and the latest trends claims to have 65% man-made production, enligning the rise in demand of handloom. The government has set up institutes to train laborers, but these institutes are not very well equipped. It is necessary to update the technology as well as the infrastructure used in the industry. To create and preserve the national heritage of our loom industry, it is our social responsibility to wear as much handloom as we can. It is the art of weaving with a sustainable factor that gives enormous scope to move towards a greener world. Handloom has survived as a living relic of a glorious legacy. To let the celebration of its beauty being passed on it, it is imperative that we promote them on all forums. The skill should not die and the weavers should be paid well. So let's join hands to witness a new age world of hand-woven fabrics to make Indian handloom relevant to the lifestyle and choices made by modern Indians, and be proud of our country's unique textile heritage.
Textile art has its own essence that contributes to the culture of the state. But sadly, such a potential segment of the industry is beset with manifold problems such as obsolete technologies, low productivity, inadequate working capital, weak marketing links, or unorganized production system, and all this contributes to stagnation of sales. These problems stand like a challenge when it's time to gracefully bloom the industry. If somehow someone manages to overcome all these, then they have to face even more major issues, such as competitions from the advanced technologies, from mill sector, where local handloom artisans having all the skill are overpowered by the new machines. This not only affects their jobs, but also on their values that they have lost. No one recognizes them as an artist. They are now just looked as laborers. As rather than working independently, they are working in mills to create a living. They all lost their values as an artist. Just like if we throw a gem in the sand, it loses its value and it is counted with the stones. It is equivalent to the stone until and unless someone recognizes it. Similarly, local artisans need recognition and value. And if not value, then probably next generation will never be able to learn these skills and they will diminish. Along with these skills, our culture will fade too. So we need to protect this. Somewhere we have lost the track as a new generation, probably due to Western influences, fast fashion, hectic lifestyle, that we cannot carry handloom, we cannot maintain it, we cannot keep it. All these are our new generational fault. Most of the people also don't understand the difference between powerloom and handloom. For them, it is just a dupe that they are look-alike. So gradually, our society is drifting from the handloom, from the niche. To uplift this sector, government has put many efforts, such as organizing Handloom Day on August 7th to commemorate the Swadeshi movement, which was launched on 7th August 1905 in Calcutta Town Hall. The objective of the movement was to revive domestic products. On this day, we celebrate artistic excellence of our weavers who help India to retain its traditional identity. We celebrate the rich legacies of the artwork preserved in our country for centuries. Other government policies include the development of Indian Handloom brand. In 2005, it was launched to represent high-quality handloom product that was adopted to promote the production of niche handloom, and was also implemented for a number of schemes like National Handloom Development Program, Handloom Weaver Comprehensive Weaver Scheme, Yarn Supply Scheme, and now in recent years, they have spread awareness about local and small business rights and maximized their focus on the khadi production and usage of the khadi with the tagline "Vocal for Local." And now, it is the time to support our glorious heritage, to support eco-friendly and sustainable textile art, or say handloom. By choosing to incorporate handloom in our daily or day-to-day life, not only we are contributing to preserve and promote this rich, diverse textile art, but also we are doing something good for society as you promote women empowerment as well. You may find a large number of women, even from the rural areas, they agree to work as an handloom artist. By earning through this work, it helps in building their confidence and making them independent. So now let's all pledge together and stand together, support handloom by spreading awareness among people around us and preserve the legacy of India.
August 7, 1905, when Bengal was being partitioned by the British, the hopes of the countrymen were being weaved together by the threads of Swadeshi. The movement aimed at reviving the production process of Indian goods by relying on domestic production and hand-woven fabric. Thus, 7th August is celebrated as National Handloom Day. To commemorate this event, today we might not be under the subjugation of the British, but the necessity of wearing and supporting handloom is ever increasing. India is a land of rich history and varied traditions, a land of culture and colors, and the tales of this beautiful land can be read through its fabric woven in handloom. India's rich traditions of handloom weaving finds mentions in texts as old as the Vedas. However, the rise in the synthetic fabric imposed a threat to the handloom industry. Handloom, unlike synthetic fabric, are eco-friendly, sustainable, and manufactured without the use of harmful chemicals. Indian handlooms are unparalleled in the world due to the fine craftsmanship and extraordinary skills of the weavers. More than 70% of the weavers and workers are women, and this provides them not only employment but also empowerment. The weavers weave magic into the fabric by their putting their hearts into it. It is important to make people aware of the rich history of Indian handlooms, celebrate India's rich fabric and colorful weaves, respect the craftsmen associated with the industry, and carry on the legacy forever.
The majestic cacophony of the crooked wood looms with shuttle of highly valued zari going through a maze of strikingly bright hand-dyed fabrics, wrinkled old hands working tirelessly through these intertwined warps and wefts, and old eyes weaving the most intricate patterns of kalpvriksha and Belbuta, deriving origins from the diversity of Vedas to the Persian myths, creating yards of the finest iridescent muslin, embossed with and enriched with a splendor worth a soulful gaze. This is the imagery of the glorious yet undervalued Indian handloom. Way before the world was turned into a warfield of nations competing for global domination, the Cold War being an excellent example, human civilizations were not merely excelling in painstaking craftsmanship, but also in trading and cultural confluence. If global trade was always an important factor, India, owing to its most sublime and overwhelming variety of handmade textiles, was already a giant dominating the world. The sheer intricacy, vibrancy of dyes, the urge of variety in every existing style of fabric making, patronization by mighty emperors, cross-cultural influences and amalgamation made Indian textiles the most valued and expensive, treasured soft powers across the globe. Tracing the origins from the earliest recorded histories to trade routes from China to Arabs, the handlooms of India have seen the most glorious days in accentuating the regal monarchies of far-off lands, and also its fall to rubble owing to the jealousy of handicraft supremacy and selfishness of colonial powers. And yet, they have remained nonchalant, almost oblivious to the value attached to the work, remaining loyal only to master craftsmanship. Brocades woven out of a mixture of zari threads and pure silk became the ultimate symbol of luxury, the intricacy and fascination of gold woven through yards of kaleidoscopic lustrous fabrics. The Chanderi brocade would be the famed for its master craftsmanship, but fabrics with glistening flair and accessible only to wealthy were not the only craft wonders India was creating. Simple cotton hand spun and dyed in natural colors, with methods of resist dyeing resulting fabrics of interesting geometric patterns, were also ikat and the tie-dyes of India. However, the colonial greed for expansion of their own industrial goods, the constant urge to take over the Indian textile share of the world, and to obviously profit out of explanation, led to horrors and destruction beyond imagination. Suddenly, handlooms not only lost their monopoly in the world trade or their wealthy patrons, but also witnessed a systematic effort of oppression driving Indian handlooms almost to the brink of extinction. Families with a history of handloom workers recall the colonial horrors of looms being broken, thumbs being cut, taxes being imposed, posing constant threats of being lost in an oblivion. And yet, somehow, in the darkest of days, one among these many textiles, khadi, the most unlikely of the plethora of amazingly gorgeous hand-spun textiles, not only survived this imperial war waged against the handloom industry, but also championed the cause of resistance against the colonial powers. Under Gandhi, patriotism was the newfound patron of labor-intense industry, and Swadeshi was the motto. Today, an independent India, us students and the connoisseurs of textiles celebrate Handloom Day to honor and revive glory of a bygone era. And yet we need to recognize that this handloom industry of India has been a soft power, a champion of nationalism, fall in the rubble and everything beyond.
The handloom sector is one of the major symbols of the cultural heritage of India. These cultures only make India rich and diverse country of textile. Hence, the National Handloom Day is observed on August 7 in honor of the handloom weaver of the country to show the love and gratitude. It not only honors the handloom weaver of the country, but it also recognizes the Swadeshi movement, which was launched on the same date in 1905 in Kolkata Town Hall to protect against the partition of Bengal by the British government. The movement had aimed at reviving domestic product and production processes. This movement encourages India to wear clothes woven by indigenous communities by their hand and to denounce foreign-made apparel. It is an important source of livelihood in rural and semi-rural part of our country. It is also a sector that directly addresses women empowerment, with over 70% of all weaver and aligned worker being female. Rooted in nature, it has eco-friendly production process with minimal requirement of capital and power, and provides flexibility to innovate to meet changes in fashion trends and fast changing customer preferences. The fabric which are weaved on handloom are known as handloom products. As the name suggests, handloom is a loom that is used to weave fabric using hand, that is, without use of electricity. From coarse and average to fine and super fine thread counts, handloom variety are available at distinct location in most states of the country. Some of example of Indian handloom is the Andhra handloom. Are soft, womanly allure and slightly rich feel, simple weave of smooth texture, soft feel that are attractive color, vibrant but not hitting the eye. These are good count weave of fine lactic of elaborate print, but the general pattern is simple geometric or light distributive motif with capitative border in variety color. Next we have the Bengal cotton tan handloom is woven from cotton thread and known for its transparency and lightness. Motifs of flower, the sun and modern art depiction generally adorn the sari. The border of the fabric are thicker than the normal since the fineness of the weave make the end prone to tear. Next we have the charmistic Bandhani handloom. It is an ancient traditional art that originated in desert region of Rajasthan and Gujarat with individual differences. An extension of this art is Leheria, where instead of dot, we have wavy design portion or leheria. It is also called dancing dot, a fascinating traditional art, knotting the fabric in question at various points with thread is involved. Coloring the fabric, then opening the knots create an awesome orderly pattern in light color against a dark background. Next we have Bagru print, are preferred as eco-friendly prints. Its process involves blocks of wood with holding grips on one side and in carved design on the other. Designed are transferred to the fabric. Next, the cotton and silk is woven in a manner designed to produce check pattern on the fabric. The square-shaped check are known as kharts. The Kota Doria weave employs the wrap and the weft in special combination of cotton thread to form extremely fine checkered pattern. To show a small gratitude, I myself is wearing a Pochampally silk, which is sari made in Bodan, Pochampally, Telangana state, India. The traditionally geometric pattern in ikat style of dyeing. The intricate geometric design find their way into sari and dress material. Now I would like to conclude that the handloom textile constitute a timeless part of rich culture heritage in India. The element of art and craft present in Indian handloom make it a potential sector. Thus, handloom forms a precious part of generational legacy and exemplifies the richness and diversity of our country and the artistry of the weavers. The ancient famous Indian temples gives us an account of the variety of dress as well as style of weaving and weavers. Each region of India has its own textile tradition and known for the production of distinct variety of material. Hence, it is an honor to be a part of such a versatile and beautiful tradition and to carry the legacy of generation to generation still alive and continue to do so. Jai Hind, my handloom, my